Bryn Porcio, TopVelocity.net. 3x pitch BioMetrics here of Rohan Patel from the 3x Velocity Camp. Let's look right before leg drive. We'll go into hip angles. We look at drive leg. We can see pretty much the hip, as far as hip abduction, there's probably, it looks like 25 degrees there. I like to see something like 35 degrees. Internal rotation, 6 degrees. I don't know. I mean, that looks like a lot more than 6 degrees to me. But you can see that knee is really down as opposed to being in more externally rotated position. So it's just not a stable position. So it's going to be hard for him to peak power at this point. And at the same time, too, even though front side's staying closed, you can see the hips are really open. So if we look at the hip orientation here, it shows, let's say about right here is 0 degrees. If you look at the red pelvis rotation, I think 0 is right there. Okay, so that's a 0 position, even though it's a little open, so it wasn't completely configured to basically the pitching rover. But if that's a 0 position, which is even an open position, he would want to be more counter-rotated here. And you can see when he lands front foot strike, he's 90 degrees, pretty much wide open to the target at front foot strike, and then all the way into pitch release, I guess hits pretty stays in the 90 position. But at front foot strike, pretty much quickly as it stabilizes in the 90 position. So the hips went early. They flew open pretty hard. Typically happens when you go early, your hips open more. But the problem is before we get into an open hip position and that closed orientation, that's an opportunity to build linear power. And if you go early, typically can affect the sequencing. Let's see. If we look at the sequencing of the hips, the red line being the hip speeds, you can see the hip speeds peak right here. And so the hips are coming first. So, I mean, at least there is a good start of peaking through hips. It's just peaking a little early and not with a lot of power. Rotationally, it's 565 degrees per second. It's a little slow. And then the trunk and arm are coming together. The sequencing's fine there, but you can see this arm is really getting caught behind. I'd say it's a little more dramatic than it actually is. So, looks like in the process of the hips going early, really delayed the arm position, which ultimately puts it in a really hyper-angulated, dragging position, pretty much extreme right here, which obviously wasn't that extreme, but that's a big negative. So, unfortunately, trying to delay the trunk and separate while the hips are going so extremely early put the arm in a really compromised position for arm health. I would be very concerned with the health of that arm. Also, too, like I said, it causes the hips to go early, so it shuts down the ability to build a lot of power. So the sequencing is correct. It's just going off a little early and then causing the throwing arm to be really late and get pulled behind the trunk, which is very hard on the arm. And then at front foot strike, by the time we get to release, you see an over-rotated trunk position. So if we look at chest orientation, it's 50 degrees to the contralateral side. We don't want to exceed 25 because studies show when you go past 25, velocity stops increasing, but the torques continue to increase. So because the hips went early, there wasn't a lot of time to build linear power, so the trunk just kept rotating and everything got so far to the glove side that the arm at pitch release is straight over the top. But if we took the trunk and straightened the trunk out, he'd be throwing sidearm. So the arm is really dragging and getting even into extension at pitch release, which is another risk factor for elbow stress, along with the being too contralateral tilt, which is another risk factor for elbow stress. So this pitch was in the 70s. I'm very concerned if Rohan takes these speeds into the 80s that he would start having arm problems. So getting back to the drawing board, not allowing the back leg to collapse, the knee to go in, trying to hold torsion, trying to keep the hips counter-rotated longer, delay rotation, and then getting more power out of the back leg. Trunk is timing well, but at that point, the trunk should be receiving more forward energy as opposed to all this rotational energy that's just spinning it off because the hips went early. So I actually think the arm, everybody's in a good position. I think the arm won't drag too when you get more linear power. But really it's the lower half, trying to stabilize the legs, delay rotation, hold more counter rotation, get more linear power into front foot. And I think things might ultimately sync up better and keep, get all the arm path issues out of there and really start to work for Rohan.